Former Democratic Pennsylvania congressman who served with Sean Duffy, Patrick Murphy, along with the host of the Guy Benson show. Guy Benson. I was going to say it's on the radio. I almost said podcast, but you can.
It's both.
Yes, it's both. So I wasn't wrong. Jill Stein, I thought, so they're worried about Jill Stein. I thought they had the chick vote wrapped up, but they need to roll out Michelle Obama.
Well, they don't have the left-wing hardcore vote wrapped up and the hardcore anti-Semitic vote either. So I think what they're trying to do is hedge. They've got a lot of money. They've raised, what, $1 billion for Kamala Harris. So if they're going to deploy some of that money to try to convince just a handful of their people not to defect to some of these third-party people, they feel like that's a good investment. If they got money to burn, why not? Especially if it's going to be this close. I will say the most intriguing thing I've heard in the last minute was that report about Nikki Haley. I had not seen that until just now. Haley joining Trump, especially in certain key areas like the WOW counties in Wisconsin, I think Haley could do a lot of good for him, especially among a certain group of female voters in particular who may be right-leaning, don't love him. She would be a very effective surrogate to target specifically those folks.
And that is an issue in the suburbs of Milwaukee. Those Republican-leaning women aren't necessarily there yet on Trump. Patrick, to you, how bad is Kamala Harris's campaign imploding? She's losing young men. She's losing black men. She's losing Hispanics. Like, these are core groups of voters for the Democrat Party. They build their majorities on it. What's going on?
It's a neck and neck race. I think she's doing a phenomenal job. I mean, honestly, and I was there 2 days ago in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, my home county, in Washington's Crossing, where George Washington crossed to Delaware. And she was there with 24 Republican elected officials, members of Congress, Adam Kinzinger, one of them who we served with, Liz Cheney, the former Republican governor of New Jersey, and other folks. And they're there and they're saying, listen, we're going to put the country over party. This isn't a regular election.
Was there more than 100 people at the rally?
It was about 500 people. Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, Liz Cheney is a Republican, and I'm Patsy Cline. But on that note, I want to move on to this, and we can just mix it up, and it'll just be a jump ball. Pennsylvania's Democrat Senator Bob Casey, who's up for re-election, now has an ad out trying to tie himself to Donald Trump. Watch.
Casey bucked Biden to protect fracking, and he sided with Trump to end NAFTA and put tariffs on China to stop them from cheating.
Please, Casey voted with the Biden administration nearly 99% of the time. That's a heck of an ad.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, he has led and pushed the Democratic Party to make sure they're for fracking, they're for the all-of-the-above energy approach. And it's not just, it's Bob Casey and John Fetterman. They have been united on this, and they have pushed and pushed and pushed. And that's why you saw in Pennsylvania, we're the second largest state in natural gas production. So when you look at liquid natural gas, that is basically 136% increase in exports in LNG in the Biden administration. We need to do more, though. I mean, no one's spiking any footballs, but Dagan, that's a great ad by Bob Casey.
3 words: Inflation Reduction Act. Bob Casey, bad for all of the above policy. But to you guys, does in these races where the voters may not know how their senators voted over the course of the last 6 years, which is when these senators are up, does an ad like that work, or are they like, no, actually, Bob Casey was no friend of Donald Trump. He's an ally of Joe Biden, or do ads like that actually cloud the issues for the voters?
Well, Bob Casey, who's voted with his party 99% of the time, is supporting a candidate in Kamala Harris who said there's absolutely no question she would ban fracking. Once and for all. Those are her words. And now she claims she doesn't believe that anymore. She's not explained why she doesn't believe that anymore, but she's at least pretending that she doesn't believe that anymore. I think the polling is interesting for people like us to look at and talk about every day. I think what's more interesting is what campaigns are doing. And watching Democratic campaigns in the 3 blue wall Midwestern states, these Senate candidates making similar overtures to right-leaning voters, you might say it's good strategy. You might say they're seeing things in their internal polling that they might need some ticket splitters.
I'll agree with Guy real quick. Look at what they're doing, not what they said. Not what she said 8 years ago. Look at what she said and what she's done. The highest record in oil production in American history under the Biden administration. The highest natural gas production in American history in the Biden administration. That is what they have done.
They do not. Go ahead. If you think, Patrick, on planet Earth, anybody with a brain buys that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get 1 soup sauna credit for that, The
wall project,
oil production is at a record in spite of those two, not because of those two. All of that production increase, the vast majority of it is on private land. We had this argument on outnumbered. The vast majority of it. In the Inflation Reduction Act, Joe Manchin tried to shoehorn, remember, the lease sales, offshore lease sales. They've got, what, 3 lease sales lined up? It's the lowest in the next 5 years on record. So I digress.
Real quick, Patrick, I mean, you're a Pennsylvania guy. Listen, I would like to say that Wisconsin is going to decide this next election. I don't think it is. It's going to be Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Honest judge, what do you think is going to happen there?
Listen, there's 1.3 million independent voters in Pennsylvania. So it's up for grabs.
Is that with the illegals or without the illegals?
That's registered legal voters. I love you, Sean, right? I do. Listen, it's going to be neck and neck. I feel really good. I mean, I think the ground game is second to none. I mean, as you know, Donald Trump has outsourced his ground game, the turning points. They don't have boots on the ground. And you just can't have air campaigns. You got to be on the ground.
And I'll tell you just on the ground game, Donald Trump's not great everywhere, but he does have one of his top-notch games in Pennsylvania. So
you get last word.
Yeah, look, the ground game is what would keep me up at night on the Trump campaign. What would keep me up at night on the Harris campaign is the polls, because they're looking much better for Trump than they ever have before. And the polls vastly underestimated him in a lot of these places, both times he was on the ballot.
Patrick Murphy, Guy Benson, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Sure.